we did a poll, and the winner was Old Yellow Top, also known as the Wild Man of Cobalt. Yeah. So I think we should do a debate today. Thomas is very pro. He loves the Wild Man of Cobalt. And I am going to say that there is no such thing.
Okay, so brief description. Old Yellow Top, you can basically think of him. He's Bigfoot or Sasquatch that was seen around the town of Cobalt in Ontario, Canada, about 7 feet tall, like most Sasquatch. The sightings of him go all the way back to 1906, spotted by miners working at Cobalt, where they have silver mines.
And why is it called Old Yellow Top?
Oh, how did I forget? Because he has like a blonde patch of hair on top of his head.
Much like you.
I'm significantly smaller than Old Yellow Top, though. Yeah, then the next sighting was in 1923 when other prospectors and woodsmen saw him or claimed to have seen him. Initially thought he was a bear, but after throwing a stone at him, he got up and ran away on 2 legs. So we'd never seen a bear like that. Seen in April 1947 by a woman and her young son along the railroad tracks in Cobalt. She said this was no bear, wolf, or any other creature she was familiar with. Walked on 2 legs again, almost like a man, but was entirely covered in brown hair, except for its head that was yellow. That was blonde, I mean. And then the last time it was seen was in 1970. This is probably the most impressive sighting because it was a bus driver, but also a bus full of passengers. So 27 miners that were being driven to the Cobalt mine, I guess. It was at night. They were working graveyard shift, I guess. And the creature walked across the road in front of them, causing the driver to lose control. He nearly crashed. Again, at first I thought it was a bear that was in the headlight, but then when it was in the headlights, I saw its big shoulders, walking upright, and they saw the blonde hair contrasting its dark fur. So it was seen for about 60-something years, and then it, I guess, died, probably died.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because it's not like a cryptid. It's just one guy, one animal, one specimen. Usually cryptids we think of as like a population, because we're trying to prove that we're trying to see if they are a real animal. But this is one thing. It would be like, I don't know. It just seems so different to me, and almost pointless to debate whether or not this one specimen existed. Because really, it's just the bigger question is, does Sasquatch exist?
Yeah. Well, that's right. What I was going to say. Yeah. And if it does, then a slight variation is perfectly fine, I think.
Yes.
So can you please prove to the audience that Sasquatch does not exist?
Well, going back to specifically Old Yellow Top, interestingly, after even the biggest sighting by the bus people, it was regarded by the locals and the newspapers as a miner's prank. I guess miners were known for pranks. And it was also could have just been some weird drunk guy or a stumbling bear. And again, because it just happened for 60 years. It's not
that adds credibility to it, I think. If it was going on till today, then you'd be like, well, no single primate-like animal is going to be in the wild. It's going to be over 100 years old.
I guess so. I know it does give more credibility to the idea that there was this one thing, but it's, I don't know, it's like inconsequential. It's
the you said that the hoax thing, but that was from one local paper. The journalist said something really dismissive. It was never proven to be a hoax or anything. No,
I didn't say it was proven to be a hoax, but I don't know. I think it's just a little novelty thing that maybe it was just a weird bear with a yellow top that people talked up to be a Sasquatch type creature.
Okay, here's the sort of interesting thing though, that this happened pretty early on. There's a photo, an alleged photo of Old Yellow Top from 1920 or something, which would make it the first photo of a living Sasquatch.
Yeah, I did see that it happened before Sasquatch became a thing.
Yeah. Because I think the word Bigfoot wasn't even coined until 1956.
Right.
And that's when the whole craze or whatever sort of started. So this was a good time before that.
Well, but maybe it's just some blonde guy wearing a fluffy coat. Back then, people wore full furs more often than they do now. It's a hunting sort of forest community.
And he's just standing in the tree line and someone's just taking a picture of him.
Yeah, he's just going for a walk. He's a bit eccentric.
I want to pull up the picture for myself again. It doesn't really look like a man though.
You know that photos were manipulated back then as well.
Yeah, but it's a bit trickier to do.
I don't know. It's just like there's not very much evidence because it only lasted 60 years. It's just one specimen. If you want to prove, like, if you can prove that Sasquatch is real, sure, maybe this guy is real too. That's not
Sasquatch isn't real.
That's not what this cryptid court is about. So, given that and the small amount of evidence, I don't see why it has to be what they say it is. But there is an interesting case of a similar sighting in Labrador, which is also northeast Canada.
Yeah, Bigfoot territory.
Of a creature like that with a white or blonde hair on top of its head. So it is interesting to think that maybe it's something that happens sometimes to Bigfoot. They get that on their head. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't have any real compelling reason to believe that it's not either a bear in some cases or some weird guy in other cases.
All right. Well, this debate isn't really going anywhere, so I don't know. Let us know what you think. I do think, like, I'm always skeptical about stuff like this, but the fact that it's older is interesting. That's, I think, the most interesting about it is that it's before.
Well, another thing that
I'm not saying that means anything. I just think it's...
Another thing I noticed about the biggest evidence story is that they're driving a bus. It's about to be the graveyard shift, so the light isn't probably very good.
It was at night, yeah.
Yeah, and he sees the creature and immediately like swerves and everyone almost dies because they almost fall off the cliff. So what recall does he really have and everyone else in the bus? Like, how accurate can he be about what he saw? Because when you see an animal on the road, you don't have time to be like, that doesn't look like any bear I've ever seen. Like, you don't really have the time, and you're probably colored by the fear that you felt in that moment as you're swerving on the road. So if that's the best sighting, I don't know about that.
Well, I think you made a lot of good points. I guess a counter argument would be, well, not counter argument. The only reason I'd say that would be the best because there's a lot of witnesses.
Yeah, a lot of witnesses that were all screaming in fear. And then it's really hard to see things from the back of a bus, okay? Like, to see something on the road.
That's why he swerved it so everyone could see it. Take a look at this, boys.
Usually when I was on, like, in a larger vehicle with people and they saw something on the road, I could never see it. Because it's like, I don't have time to go that way.
Sometimes you don't even see things from the passenger seat, like a boar.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All those points, plus if you're already primed, know of this local story about Yellowtop, it would be very easy for people to mistake a few second sighting at night under very stressful conditions.
Yeah. And people in 1906, those mine workers, they were up to no good all the time. They were like, I don't even have any details about that sighting really, but just some mine workers saw Yellowtop. Like, okay.
I think the first one, there was two of them, and they saw Yellowtop staring at them from the tree line, which is a bit creepy.
Well, yeah, like that could have been a bear.
Yeah, could have been a man.
So it could have been a weird man. So they see this weird man or bear, and then they tell everyone. Everyone's like, "Oh, Yellowtop, haha, interesting." And then the prospectors, yeah, I guess the part where he says he had never seen such a bear, that would be the most compelling for me, for the prospectors in 1923. But still.
Also, apparently, there's a lot of like ambiguity around the photo and like who actually took it and when it was taken and other things like that. Could potentially.
I think you're old Yellowtop, as I've already said.
Not that old.
Well, you could be
standing trees staring at mines.
That sounds very bad. It's a good thing you said you don't do that.
Oh, Jesus. So, as in people mining for silver. I was just going to cut that part out.
So, what do you think? Who won the debate? Is Old Yellowtop real? Or is Old Yellowtop a fake and fun story? Or something in between? What do you think? Prove to us if Sasquatch is real while you're at it.
Good luck.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel for full episodes or download the MP3 from the links below.